Today, we're lifting weights. And this is really what separates me from all the other guys at King of the Hill and most runners in general. Because, I've been lifting weights for over 15 years and I've been a strength and conditioning coach for 8 years. And a really big part of that, I've been a strength athlete myself. And the reason why I've been able to make such good progress with running so quickly is that I have that really solid strength training background. And today you're going to be able to see how I put that into practice when it comes to preparing for King of the Hill. All right, so we're just gonna start with the exercise I call the hinge to calf raise sprinter pose. And the goal of this exercise is, of course, to try to get a little bit of beef into these puny little calves that I've just never the one muscle group I've never really been able to grow properly. So this is how it works. The goal of this is just to develop the calves, but also build some really nice strength in the feet, the ankles, and basically the whole foot calf complex, as well as the hips. So I like to pair that with this exercise called the Copenhagen plank. And the Copenhagen plank is a fantastic exercise to develop the adductors. And the adductors are a bit of an unsung hero when it comes to stabilizing your pelvis. It's really important that we are able to stabilize our pelvis really quickly when we are running so that your glute max can propel you forward as efficiently as possible. But if you have really weak adductors, then potentially that's going to be one of the reasons why you might be a little bit slow and why you'll also struggle, especially when it comes to trail running, where we really like changing directions and moving very in an agile way. Adductors are a super important muscle group for that. This is a bit of a more advanced version of this exercise. It is steamy in here today. Whew. The breathing is very important. Nasty. Next, we're doing these yielding plyometric exercises. So these aren't really like strict plyometrics. Like plyometric means that your ground contact time is very short. So it's going to be a very tendon dominated exercise. I'm going to be doing yielding plyometrics, meaning that the ground contact time is going to be much longer. So it's going to be a much more muscular challenge. And these ones in particular, they feel real nice after doing 1,000 meters of vertical this morning. And these yielding plyos are just a fantastic way to develop a little bit more bounce and a little bit more strength into your stride. And now we're going to do a lateral bound. This is more specific to trail running, where we're really improving the ability to absorb my weight in this lateral side-to-side plane and then send it the other way, which helps a lot if you want to be really agile and really fast on downhills. So you don't want to rush through them. It's better to really yield into that hip, allow those muscles to really take the load, and then recoil into the other direction. These yielding plyos are also a staple in the ultra-strong training programs and something that's missing from most runners and most people's strength training. Second set. So 8 reps per leg. just to the edge of burn, you know. I've already done my hill climbing today. That gives me a lot of burn in my legs, so I'm not really chasing the burn when it comes to strength training. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, or runners make. Because running gives you a burn, you think that you need to chase the burn when you're in the gym. Wrong. Gym is all about training your nervous system to be more efficient at recruiting your fast twitch muscle fibers. That's the main benefit for runners when it comes to strength training, and of course bone density. So how do you do that? We have to either move fast, which is what I just did, or we need to lift heavy, which is what we'll do in a little moment. Before we do that, if you have any questions about strength training specific to runners, make sure to drop them into the comment section. All right, now we're gonna do a bit more calf raises, this time with a little bit more load. You might be wondering, why is this guy training his calves so much? Again, because they're fucking small. But number two, it's because calves are one of the most important exercises for runners. There was a study where they found that when you're running at 4 minutes 46 seconds per kilometer pace, your soleus, which is the lower calf muscle, is taking on loads 6.7 times your body weight. Question for you, do you currently train your soleus? Do you train it enough so that it can sustain 6.7 times your body weight forces when you're running? If you don't, then you need to train more calves. So here I've got a weight, still single leg. Now the idea is to use the wall for as little support as possible. So I've only got one finger on the wall and I'm going for like 5 to 6 repetitions here. While I'm resting there, I'm gonna start warming up for my squats. That's a cool looking contraption. Hey, this is a Kabuki Strength transformer bar. This is one of the most legitimate strength training pieces of equipment that you could possibly have. This is what happens when someone who fucking loves strength training is also an engineer and they want to optimize absolutely everything. So this bar actually allows me to change the mechanics of the exercise. If I want to make the squat to be more of a quadricep, more of a knee dominant exercise, I'm going to set the offset of the load to the goblet position. So basically now the center of mass of the bar is going to be more forward, which is going to allow me to keep my center of mass further back, which allows me to squat more upright. If I put it on a high bar squat or a low bar squat, or especially the hinge position, see how much further back the center of mass of the bar is now? So that's going to be terrible for squatting, but it's going to be fantastic for hip hinging. So depending on how you set up for an exercise is absolutely critical, because it will either make it much easier for you to execute the exercise properly, or it can make it practically impossible. So today we're doing the safety bar squat, so we're putting it pretty much smack bang in the middle. Always start with an empty bar. There'll be one of those people who just rocks up to the gym, slaps some weight on and starts lifting. No, the best lifters in the world treat every single set as an opportunity to practice good lifting technique. And when is the best opportunity? When the bar is empty. So your heaviest sets should look exactly the same as if you were lifting an empty bar. So don't miss out on that training opportunity. Now we're back to the calf raise here for a second set. You can see our home gym setup here it's pretty minimal, but it really doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you know what you're doing and your execution is really good with free weights, then you really don't need machines. Don't get me wrong, I would love to have a couple of machines here, especially for my clients, because sometimes it's much easier to just put someone on a leg press because you really can't mess that up. But there's a lot of ways to mess up a squat, for example. So now I'll start breathing in the way that I'll breathe in the actual working sets. It's really important to get your breathing right to maximize intra-abdominal pressure, because you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. The more stable and the stronger you are through your core and your midsection of your body, the more athleticism you can express through your legs. And this is one of the key reasons why strength training, heavy strength training in particular, is so beneficial for runners, because you develop that ability to put a little bit more pop into the ground with every single ground contact when you're stronger and more stable. One more warm up. 95 kilos. This is a 25 kilo bar. I keep talking to you about this training app, but let me actually show you how it's super useful. So I can't remember what I did last week. So let's see. I'm gonna pull out my ultrastrong training app. Go into my calendar, my program for today. I've done these exercises. I'm gonna take them off. Take it off. As you can see, every single exercise is a video of me actually demonstrating the exercise in a lot of detail. Take a look. So I used 102.5 kilos and I did 3 sets of 2. So today is a deload session. So I'm gonna try to do the same weight, 102.5 kilos, and I'm just gonna be doing 2 sets of 2. And I'll see how that first set feels, and I might drop the weight a little bit for the subsequent sets. Tracking your training properly is one of the most fundamental things that people are missing when it comes to strength training. And you know, there are ways to do that. You could bring a pen and paper and you could do it that way. But to make an analogy, that's kind of like banging 2 rocks together to try to make a fire. Whereas we're cooking with gas these days. And that's where the training app comes in. Now, one of the best things about your own gym is that, yeah, if you don't like where things are, there's only one person to blame, which is you. Now, we used to work at Fitness First Melbourne Central. Oh, by the way, that's 105 kilos, not 102.5 kilos. Used to work at Fitness First Melbourne Central, and that was one of my worst things. It's like, you do a bit of a cleanup at the gym. Everyone who's working there would participate most of the time. And then you come back 5 minutes later and it's like nothing happened. Everything is everywhere and the place is a complete mess. All right, so that's 105 kilos. We're going for 2 repetitions. Let's go. Okay, so rate of perceived exertion, a little bit higher than what the coach prescribed today, the coach being me, of course. So I'm going to be a responsible athlete and I'm going to drop the weight a little bit. Let's make it say 100 kilos. Okay, and since the goal of strength training is to develop strength and to train the nervous system, we need to rest quite a bit between these sets. So as opposed to just standing around, a really good thing to do to maximize your valuable training time is actually to pair a hamstring exercise with a quad dominant exercise. So I'm going to be doing some hamstring curls with this foam roller here. Let me just pull that up a bit so you can see the goods there. Nasty. And this is what I mean when I said that if you know what you're doing, you really don't need a lot of expensive equipment. This thing is 10 bucks from Kmart versus having a hamstring curl machine, like a really good quality one, will put you back like 5,000, 10,000 Australian dollars easily. So pretty happy with this. So now that I've done my first squatting set, I'm going to record the weight just so I don't forget. The load button here, bang, 105. I did 2 reps and that's it. Easy done. Hamstring curls, no weight for that one. I did 11 reps. Bang, that's it. All right, one more set. That felt better. It felt so good. We actually did 3 reps. If you can't at least squat your body weight's worth of load on the barbell for 3 to 5 repetitions with good technique, then you have a lot to gain when it comes to running performance from getting stronger in squats. Gets a bit slippery, getting a bit sweaty here. So now we're going to unload this bar so that I can put it in another setting because we're going to be doing some hip hinges. All right, so now we're going to go to the low bar squat position because it's much easier to hinge from there. I find that the hinge position, it's quite aggressive. You'll see, watch this. Remember how I was sitting before? Now, literally, like you can see how it's almost like tilting backwards already. And especially when you've got a bit of weight on there, it really, you can feel how far back the center of mass is, which is great for hinging. Let me show you something. So a lot of people don't really know the difference between squatting and hinging and how that relates to running performance. And a good way to understand it is in the context of hills. Think about it. When you're going up a hill, if the hill is very steep, you're going to be pushing your hips back, right? So you're going to be in a little bit more of a hinge position. You're going to have your hands on your knees and you're going to be powering through. Versus when you're coming down a hill, it's going to be, you're going to have your pelvis underneath you a little bit more. Your knees are going to be more bent. It's going to be a more knee and a quad dominant thing. So actually hinges are going to train more of your uphill ability, and then squats are going to train, like very knee dominant squats are going to be training more of your downhill ability. And then if you do what I did, like kind of a, you know, there's knee bend and there's hip bend. Of course, you're getting a little bit of both, but now I'm really going for the pure hip hinge. So I'm gonna have my feet flat and I'm gonna set this bar into this low bar position because it's gonna make it really easy to send those hips as far back as possible. If you know why this exercise is called the good morning, please put it in the comments, because after being strength and conditioning coach for 8 years, I still have no idea. And I can hear it. People are saying, my God, those are so bad for your back. How could you possibly do that? No. The role of your back isn't to lift the weight up. Like, yes, you're using your back muscles, these guys, your spinal erectors, but they're just holding shape and making sure that you don't turn into a question mark, because then you might actually hurt yourself. But the idea is that you're able to use your core and your back muscles to maintain your shape as you load your hamstrings and your glutes and your whole hips. That's it for the heavy stuff. A bit more abs and calves and we're done for today. Please, after watching this video, whoever you are, wherever you train, put your weights away. Thank you. Here's a fun one. You know what's gonna happen? The ab wheel. The idea is that the pointiest parts of your body touch the ground at the same time. Think about that. You see it? Whew. The next one wouldn't have been pretty. We're gonna pair that with posterior tibialis raises. So kind of runs really deep here. It's like it goes all the way through kind of the arch of the foot, all the way like up into the tibia on the like right behind the tibia. So posterior tibialis, not tibialis anterior. And it's a really important muscle in creating a nice strong arch. And I had no idea that the muscle even existed until I developed some Achilles tendon issues. And this exercise and other exercises specifically targeted for the posterior tibialis were absolute game changer for my Achilles tendon issues. And you know, I've kind of kept doing it ever since then and just kept getting stronger and stronger at it. And yeah, and every time I put them into the programs of people with any kind of lower limb issues, they usually start feeling a lot better. So because of that, they're an absolute staple in the ultrastrong programs, in the ultrastrong training app. So the idea is that you're going to turn your feet out about 30 degrees and you have to have something between your heels. I really like using this yoga block, and you gotta like put a little bit of pressure into the yoga block, so you make sure that you don't allow that to drop, and then you're gonna keep your weight through your big toe knuckles as you go into a calf raise. Half reps equal half the results. So you're better off doing full repetitions, and when your technique goes out of the window, terminate the set. Rest, do it again with good technique. And that's how you end up accumulating lots of really beautiful, good quality repetitions, as opposed to accumulating piles of shit. Right now we're 5 weeks out. After this easier week, it's gonna be only 4 weeks until King of the Hill 2025. It's getting serious. Let's do this.